Losing weight and improving yourself, really in any way, can be an amazing feeling and it can improve so many things in your life. But there is something that is very less often talked about that comes along with self-improvement, and that is grief. Grief for the life that you feel you wasted before you made the decision to improve yourself. Now that you see how great it is on the other side, you only wish that you had done it sooner. And it's only more apparent to you how much time and how much life you did waste being miserable. Hey guys, welcome back to the 1 Year 100 Pounds podcast. My name is Whitney Holcomb and I am author of the book 1 Year 100 Pounds. For those of you who are new here, I lost 100 pounds on my own when I was 14 years old, and I've kept the weight off for almost 20 years. The book is about how I lost the weight and how I transformed my life in general. I went from the bullied fat girl to becoming a model and really living out my dream life. And it all started with making the decision to change, to lose weight, get healthy, and become the person that I had always dreamed of in my head. And it is also a tough love guide for how you can do those things too. So if you like my tough love attitude and you are on your own weight loss or self-development journey, then you should check that book, my book out. It is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I will leave the links below so you can check that out on your own time. So today we are talking about grief. Grief for the life you feel you wasted not being your true self. This may pertain particularly to some of my older audience, but younger as well. And I was actually asked to do this video by one of my subscribers. And she, left a comment on one of my videos, saying that, okay, she saw my video and she was really motivated to change her life and really just start going after what she wanted. She said one part of that was losing some weight, but the other part was, she was going to change her hair and she was just going to start her own self-improvement journey, which is awesome. But she, told a little bit about her story. She said that when she was a teenager, like 13, she got into a really bad accident that kind of changed the way she looked. It changed her appearance, and she was really self-conscious about it most of her life. She, I guess didn't like the way she looked. She gained some weight, and she said in the comments, now she's older. I think she's either around my age or a little bit older. And, she said, yeah, she wasn't really happy all those years, but now she's motivated to change her life. And she's excited about that. However, she resonated with something I said in one of my videos about how, life is too short to be fat. That's the video she commented on. And I said, even at 14 years old, obviously I know I was so young, but I said, look, I wished I had started my weight loss transformation sooner because it changed my life so much. It's almost like, God, like what could I have done if I had started at 7 years old, right? And look, I know I was a kid and I wouldn't have known how to lose weight at 7 years old. So it may not have really been all that possible, but I think it's even more apparent, or maybe even easier to understand if you are someone older and you are in the same position where, like one of my subscribers, like she said, she's older now, and yes, she wants to change her life and she's motivated, but she also feels this kind of sense of grief of like, oh my God, like I wasted all my youth. I wasted all my youth not being happy with myself. I wasted my youth, not being confident. I wasted my youth being fat. And I think that is such an interesting topic because yeah, it's a very real feeling. It is like this grief for like the life you lost. And I think, you may feel this way in other areas of your life too. It could be something like an opportunity that you had to miss out on when you were younger, because maybe you got pregnant or I don't know, something happened, someone got sick or whatever happened. Like, it's kind of like that what if, like that woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? Like, God, what if I had made this decision instead? Like my life could have been this way. Or, now that you have lost a lot of weight and now you feel amazing, but maybe you're my age, maybe you're in your 40s, maybe you're in your 50s, and you see how amazing it is now. And now you look back and you're like, well, damn, I'm 50. Like, this is amazing, but like, I so much would have enjoyed my life so much better in my 20s and 30s and 40s had I done this sooner. And it's almost like, God, like what could have happened? Like, who could I have been if I had started changing my life sooner? So this is a very real and valid feeling. And I have felt this way myself. So just with my own story, I did a video a while back talking about the downsides of my weight loss and how it was a lot to process when I was younger. And then, that with trying to be a model, I went through a period where I got too skinny because I thought that's just what I needed to do for, not only the modeling agencies to want me, but for people to like me. And it was a bad time, and I was too skinny and it wasn't sustainable, and it didn't improve my life. Getting that skinny. It's another thing too. Being too skinny is just as bad as being overweight. But that led to kind of a spiral of just kind of a bad time. Like I was just not in a good mindset at that time. And eventually I ended up gaining weight, which I need to, but I ended up gaining more weight than I wanted, at least for like the modeling industry, right? So I think when I moved to New York, I was like 140. And then I was pretty much like stayed between like 140 to like 150. And then up until like recently, back in 2021, it got up to 160. That's a whole other story. But yeah, my weight fluctuated around that. And I always said I was gonna lose it, and I was gonna get back into modeling, but I just wasn't in the right mindset. There was just a lot going on. I got into a lot of crazy things in New York, going out, and it was just not like the healthiest lifestyle for me, and I couldn't get focused. All excuses, I know, but it was my mindset at the time, right? But that really was a big damper on me having any kind of modeling career, because I think I said before, like I would go to agencies and there just really was no industry for someone in between. Like I was like anywhere from a size 6 to a size 8 during that time. And they would tell me, you know what, come back when you're either skinnier or come back when you're bigger. Like there wasn't really much of an industry. So I didn't pursue it as much as I would have wanted to. And I just was not as successful as I had wanted to be. And it was crazy because I kept saying, okay, I'll lose the weight, I'll do this. But I didn't. And this was basically like 10 years of my life, all my 20s. And it wasn't really until I hit 30, magical age of 30, where everything just kind of clicked in place for me. And I realized, what am I doing? Like this me that I was for the past 10 years, like this was not me. Like it's crazy. Like they say like, okay, when you are in your 30s, you kind of revert back to the person you were like as like a awkward teen or whatever. Like you start pursuing all those things, those passions, those ideas you had. And it's very true, because around that age, you just stop giving a fuck, like what other people think, and you just you start being more true to yourself. And I also realized around this time that, God, life is so short. Life passes you up so quickly. Like I literally just lost like 10 years of my life saying like, I was gonna do this, I was gonna do that, and I didn't. So 10 years have passed. Modeling is out of the question now because I'm in my 30s, I'm, old. So even if I did lose the weight, it's like that part of my life is over, right? So I had to kind of like forget about that part. But I also just thought about, all the times that I just really wasn't all that happy with my body during my 20s. And I was, like I said, I was living kind of like this crazy like lifestyle in New York City, had a lot of fun, but it wasn't very healthy or conducive to being fit, conducive to being creative. I kind of lost myself during those years. And I'm definitely feeling that now as I'm losing the weight, like I said I was going to for so many years, like back down to almost 125 pounds, like my goal weight. And I'm like, damn, like I'm already seeing the improvements in how I feel and look in my life. And it is like, I wish I had done this when I said I was going to do it. I wish I had done this in my 20s, because what would that have meant for my modeling career? Like, would I have had more success there? Like, would I have dated better people? There's just so many different things that, I think coulda, shoulda, woulda happened. And so yeah, that can be frustrating and can also be kind of sad, because there is such an emphasis on youth in our culture, right? As if like, okay, that's the best years of your life and you don't want to waste them. And so it's like, what do you do when you feel like you have wasted them? And look, I know I'm only like 33 now. Some of you may be older and you may be feeling that even more. You may be in your 40s or 50s or even 70s. And you're like, no, but I've wasted like all my life basically. Like I've always been fat. I've always just, never been happy with myself. And it's only just now that you decided to change yourself. So the first thing I would say, and what I have to remind myself of too, is throw out the coulda, shoulda, woulda. Because guess what? It didn't. All right? It didn't happen. You could have done this. You should have done that. You would have done that, but you didn't. And you know what? That's fine. That's fine. It is what it is. I mean, you could say, even like me, like I blamed myself for a long time. Like, well, I should have been more disciplined then. I should have done this. I should have done that. But you know what? I wasn't in the right mindset to do it at the time. I think about it now. I don't think I could have done it back then, because I wasn't myself at the time. It was just too hard for me at the time. I wasn't in the right place. And I don't think I had the right influences in my life to even make that decision. I didn't have a YouTube channel like mine to watch and motivate me, right? Which is part of the reason I started this channel, because I wanted to make videos for people like me who are seeking answers or are seeking motivation or inspiration. I'm doing this because I know so well that it is so much better on the other side. Once you finally make the decision to act, you finally make the decision to improve yourself. But that is number one, okay? Stop at the coulda, shoulda, woulda. Basically, leave the past behind. The past doesn't matter. Yes, it sucks. I understand. It's hard, especially if you're older and you feel like you wasted more time. Forget about the past. Don't play the blame game, okay? Probably just like me, you were also not in the right mindset back then to make the decision. It wasn't until just now, until recently, you finally found whatever it is, the motivation, the inspiration you needed to make the change. And you know what? That's fine. Because it really is true that it is never too late to start something. It is always better late than never. There's a famous quote by, I always forget the names of the people who do these quotes, and I love quotes so much, but the quote is, "It is never too late to be who you might have been." Take it from someone like me, okay, who only really recently in the past like 4 or 5 years got motivated and inspired again, who really took charge of my life again. Not only in weight loss, but other things I wanted to pursue. Do I wish I had started this stuff? Yes, back in my 20s. Yeah, I would have been so much farther ahead by now. But you know what? I didn't. And that's okay. It is what it is. I'm starting now. Do I wish that I could have been, skinnier in my 20s? I would have been prettier and, like I said, maybe dated better people or gone to better parties. I don't know. Yes, sure. But you know what? I'm skinny now. So I think that's the second thing. Get rid of this idea that like your best years are behind you. Get rid of this idea that, you can only be beautiful or successful or really be like at your peak in your 20s or 30s. It's just not true. Your peak is whenever you decide to be the best version of yourself. That's your peak. For some people, that might be their 20s. It might be. But for most people, it's usually in their 30s, 40s even, 50s. It's different for everyone. But the commonality is that your peak is when you feel your best. It is when you are truly in your power. And a lot of times that really doesn't happen until we are older. Like, I don't know about you, but I definitely was just not very confident in my 20s. And I don't even know if it would have had anything to do with my body. I mean, maybe I would have been a little more confident, but it's still just a weird time period, I think, for everyone. And I think that's the reason like so many women talk about, okay, like entering your 30s or even 40s, it's like you really just stop giving a fuck and like life just changes for you. So I don't care if you're 40, if you're 50, if you're 60, it's never too late to live your best life. No, you're not gonna look like you did when you were 20 and 130 pounds or whatever, but you can be 60 and 130 pounds and look like the best 6-year-old version of yourself. I guarantee you, you're still gonna enjoy your life. It's still gonna be better than if you hadn't started. So get the idea out of your head that your best years are behind you. They're not. If you had just started to act on transforming yourself now, your best years are ahead of you. And that's another point I wanna make too. Like before, like I wanted to be a model. I thought that was like my big thing. And I failed at it essentially. I was not very successful. I did little things here and there, but not like I wanted to be. So for a while I felt bad. I felt like, well, that's like the only thing I know how to do. And like, that's, what else am I gonna do? Lo and behold, that's not at all the only thing I know how to do. My dreams now and the opportunities I have now, are so much more than I would have ever imagined back then. So that's the other thing too. You might have thought that, you missed out on some huge opportunity. It was the best thing in your life, only to find out that you have even bigger opportunities coming your way. You have even bigger goals or even bigger dreams. And it kind of makes those like my dreams of being like, a fashion model or whatever, the things I want to do now, they're so much bigger in comparison to that. And I think the more you embark on your self-development journey, the more you transform, the better you feel about yourself, you're gonna see more of those opportunities coming along your way. And then the regrets or maybe the lost dreams you had before, they're gonna be smaller. You're not gonna care about them as much. That's the thing. You are never too old to have a new dream. There's always something you can work on. There's always something to work towards. Like I remember there was a story about some man, I think he was like in his 80s, and he wanted to be a doctor all his life. So he went to med school and he did like 8 years of med school, he did the whole thing. And by the time he was like in his 90s, he was a doctor. Okay, so yeah, maybe he's only got 10 years left, but whatever, he did it. It's never too late to go after what you want. And it might not be exactly as you imagined it, but you can still do it. So let's just say, for example, you always also wanted to be a model, but now you're 70. Okay, well, If that's really what you want to do, there are ways you can go about doing that. I mean, number one, they have models at every age. You just got to find an agency that represents people in your age bracket. Or number two, find a local photographer, do some headshots, audition for local commercial work or whatever. It may not be the same as okay, the idea of being like a Kate Moss or something, that may have been your dream, right? Well, no, you're not going to become Kate Moss at 70 years old, but you could still do a little bit of modeling if you wanted to. And ultimately, I really do believe that almost everything happens for a reason. I think there's a reason that certain things didn't work out in my favor back then. I can see it now. You won't see it when you're in it. And you might not see it right now at this moment. But again, as your life gets better, as you continue to improve, I think you're also gonna see that too. That you're gonna realize oh, that's why I didn't get that job. That's why, that guy ghosted me. Because when you are in your true power, when you are your ideal self, that is when the best things come to you. So no, the best years of your life are not behind you. The best years are right now. They are right now as soon as you make the decision to change, as soon as you make the decision to become the best version of yourself. And again, doesn't have to be weight loss, could just be a part of it. So don't think about the past. The past doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the now. That's the only thing you have control over, and that's the only thing you need to be focused on. So stop looking towards the past. Start looking at the now, at what you can do in this very moment to improve yourself, to improve your future. Your best years are yet to come. And what's even better is that you are totally in control of how your life goes from here on out. You are totally in control of the person that you are going to be. You have the power to create the life that you want. It may not be perfect. It will never be perfect, but it can always be better. It can always be closer to the ideal version of your life. And you are the only one who can do that for you. So if you needed another reminder to start changing your life, to start going on that diet, to start applying for different jobs, that's now. Do it now. Don't wait. Don't spend one more second on the woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Just do it now. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, then please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you have your own story of the woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda? And how are you dealing with it now? Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.